There's a reason why some people in their 80s still move like they are 50, and others, barely past 60, already feel like they are fading. And it's not just luck or genetics or access to good doctors. In fact, long before any medical chart tells you something is off, your body is already speaking, quietly, in little clues most of us never notice. You see them every day, your face in the mirror, your hands resting on the table, the way you walk across the room. But what if those ordinary things were quietly revealing how long you might live? Not in some superstitious or dramatic way, but in real, grounded signals your body has been sending all along. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Because what you notice, you can change. And what you ignore, well, it builds. In today's video, I'm going to show you 9 of the most overlooked but powerful physical clues that may suggest how well or how long your body is built to last. These signs aren't just cosmetic quirks or age spots. They are the body's natural indicators of energy, stability, and resilience. We're not talking miracle cures or magic numbers. We're talking about the slow erosion of vitality or the quiet strength that stays with you longer than expected. Maybe it's in the color of your skin, the sharpness of your eyes, the rhythm in your steps. And maybe, just maybe, there's still time to adjust the way you're living so those signs begin to shift in your favor. So if you've ever wondered, not in fear but in curiosity, how am I really doing? This might be the wake-up you didn't know you needed. Let's start with something simple but incredibly telling: your eyes. Sign 1, is the light in your eyes still alive? Some things can't be faked. You can wear a flawless foundation, have perfect lashes, even get your brows microbladed, but if the light in your eyes has gone dim, people notice. They may not say it, but they feel it, because the eyes don't just show age, they show life. Think back to the last time you really looked into someone's eyes, not just glanced, but looked. A child bursting with curiosity, an elder who still laughs with her whole face, a friend who carries something heavy but keeps going. Their eyes carry something beyond words, a pulse, a current, a spark. That's what we're talking about. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you looked into your own eyes? Not to check makeup or pluck a brow hair, but to truly meet yourself. Because the truth is, long before fatigue shows in your body, it shows in your gaze. Long before illness becomes a diagnosis, your eyes start to dull. And long before you feel ready to give up, your eyes begin to withdraw, like the light inside is stepping back just a little. This isn't poetic, it's physical. Bright, clear eyes reflect oxygen-rich blood flow, balanced nervous system activity, deep rest, and emotional steadiness. And not just one night of good sleep, but a pattern of living that supports clarity from the inside out. Your pupils respond more quickly. The whites stay clear. There's a natural sheen, like someone turned the lights on behind your gaze. But the opposite is just as real. When the whites turn yellowish or too prominent or look dull and lifeless, when the dark circles become permanent residents, when your gaze seems to look through rather than see, it's a sign something deeper is off. Maybe it's disrupted sleep, low-grade stress that never leaves, or a buildup of emotional noise you haven't cleared in years. Maybe it's not what you're doing wrong, but what your body's been trying to carry on its own in silence. In many ways, your eyes are your body's most honest narrator, and people feel it even if they can't name it. A teacher with tired eyes finds it harder to connect with her students. A man with hollowed-out eyes may still smile, but it doesn't reach anyone. A nurse may give you kind words, but if her eyes are vacant, you don't feel safe. That's how powerful your eyes are. They don't just reflect you, they transmit you. Now here's where it gets interesting. This spark in the eyes isn't genetic, it's earned. It's built over time through habits that protect energy. Deep breathing, real rest, balanced hormones, laughter, letting go, forgiving yourself when no one else does, choosing not to engage with every argument or carry every burden. People with alive eyes often have a kind of quiet discipline. They know when to turn things off, when to stop scrolling, when to leave a room that steals their peace. You can see the difference. An 82-year-old woman who walks with a cane, but her eyes are radiant. You feel it the moment she looks at you. And then there's the 40-year-old executive whose eyes already look dim even as she checks off every box. One is running on stored light, the other is already burned out. So how do you bring that light back? Not with more eye cream, not with a caffeine fix or highlighter makeup, but by protecting your flame, starting small. Start with one night of uninterrupted sleep, 10 minutes in natural sunlight, 5 minutes of deep breathing before you answer anyone's text. Sit by the window and just look at the sky for no reason. You're not doing nothing, you're feeding the light. You're giving your nervous system a break and your eyes a reason to glow again. Because you are not supposed to dim just because you're aging. Aging is not the problem. Withdrawing from yourself, that's the danger. When your eyes no longer light up at music or kindness or a good morning breeze, that's when your life force starts to waver. You'll know when the light comes back. You'll see someone and they'll say, "You look different." They may not know what changed, but you will. You came back to yourself. And remember this, before any blood test, before any diagnosis, your body whispers through your skin, through your breath, through your eyes. So the next time you pass a mirror, pause, look in, not at. What do you see? Is the light in your eyes still alive? If not, what part of you is asking to be seen again? Sign 2. The little groove under your nose says more than you think. Most of us never think about it. That small vertical line between your nose and upper lip, it's just there. A detail, a crease, a leftover from birth. But what if it's more than that? What if that little groove known as the philtrum is actually one of the body's quietest indicators of how well your inner systems are holding up? This might sound far-fetched at first, but take a moment. Look in the mirror. Look closely. Is that groove deep and defined? Or has it started to fade, flatten, or break up with little lines or dark spots? Because it turns out that seemingly minor feature carries more meaning than we've been taught to notice. The philtrum has been called the life gate in some ancient wellness traditions, not because of folklore, but because it sits at the crossroads of vital systems. Right above the mouth, close to the nose, near the heart of the facial nerve network, it's like a tiny, visible checkpoint. Its depth, shape, and clarity have been quietly reflecting your body's vitality all along. People with a well-defined philtrum, especially one that remains clear into middle age and beyond, often have strong circulation, balanced hormones, and deeper reserves of energy. Their body recovers more easily. Their resilience holds up. There's something grounded about them. It's not about perfection, it's about a quiet strength that doesn't fade easily. On the other hand, when the philtrum becomes faint, uneven, or marked with little shadows or scars, it can suggest fatigue in the body's foundational systems. Maybe the kidneys are depleted. Maybe stress has taken a long-term toll. Maybe emotional weight, unresolved grief, chronic anxiety, or long stretches of resentment has settled quietly in the background, dimming the very systems meant to keep you steady. This isn't cosmetic. It's systemic. It's a sign that something deeper needs your attention, not panic, not perfection, just awareness. And here's something even more subtle. The philtrum also sits at the edge of how we speak and how we breathe. What you say and how you breathe, it all passes through here. People who speak harshly, too fast, or constantly, those who pour out energy through words without pause often show strain in this area. It's not judgment, it's biology. When your words don't rest, your body doesn't either. The same goes for breath. Shallow breathing over time reduces oxygen flow, lowers circulation, and overworks the nervous system. And your philtrum starts to fade because the fire behind it is flickering. You might not notice it until you look, and suddenly you realize this part of you used to look different, more alive, more firm, more grounded. Now, this is not about becoming obsessed with your face. It's about learning how your body speaks, because your body does speak, it just doesn't shout. And the philtrum is one of those places that whispers early. It says, slow down, speak gently, breathe deeper, come back to center. And when you listen, something beautiful happens. The groove begins to return, slowly, subtly, but it returns. Because healing isn't just in medicine, it's in rhythm. When you begin to eat on time, sleep with intention, move with awareness, and clear the weight behind your words, your body responds. Not with sudden transformation, but with quiet return. A groove deepens, a shadow lifts, a curve finds its shape again, and more than that, it's what it represents. People with a strong philtrum are often grounded in family. They've honored their roots. They may not have had perfect lives, but they've carried forward something steady. Whether it's respect for their elders, a sense of legacy, or simply a quiet integrity in how they live, they are connected. That connection over time becomes protection. It's not mystical, it's energetic. When you speak with love, your words carry warmth. When you breathe with awareness, your nervous system softens. When you show restraint, your energy gathers instead of leaking. That's what makes the groove deepen again, not just in the skin, but in the way life flows through you. So go ahead, look again. What does your philtrum say about the way you've been living? Does it show a clear current or a stream that's gotten blocked along the way? And most importantly, what would it take to reopen that current? Maybe it's as small as pausing before you speak. Maybe it's waking up 5 minutes earlier just to breathe. Maybe it's writing down one thing each day that you're letting go of: resentment, control, fear. Maybe it's sitting in silence with yourself and saying nothing at all. Whatever it is, it's not out of reach. Your body is always waiting for you to return. The groove under your nose has held your breath, your voice, your tension, and your grace for decades. All it asks now is for you to notice. Sign 3. Is your nose still standing like a pillar? The nose is one of the first things we notice about a face, but rarely do we see what it's truly holding. We think of it as a feature, a shape, a contour, something that can be smoothed, adjusted, even sculpted. But what if the nose is actually the quiet center of your energy structure? What if it's not just about appearance, but alignment? Take a moment and feel your own nose, not just how it looks, but how it feels. Is it straight or starting to lean? Is the bridge even or slightly curved? Does the tip feel balanced or pulled too far in one direction? These details may seem minor, but the truth is, the nose tells us more than we think. In ancient healing systems, the nose has often been called the pillar of life. It sits in the center of your face for a reason, not just physically, but symbolically. It divides left from right. It balances breath. It connects the brain to the heart, the inner world to the outer world. It is, quite literally, the axis of your being. When the nose is straight, well-shaped, and in harmony with the rest of the face, it reflects something deeper than symmetry. It reflects stability. People with centered noses often live with emotional moderation. They may still feel deeply, but they don't get pulled too far in any one direction. They know when to stop, when to rest, when to let go. That kind of steadiness shows in the face, and especially in the nose. But when the nose begins to tilt or the bridge becomes uneven, it can be a quiet sign that life is pulling you off balance. Maybe it's long-term stress. Maybe it's the weight of constantly fixing, solving, saving. Maybe you've spent years trying to be strong for others, and somewhere along the way you stopped feeling centered yourself. The nose, in its silence, holds that tension. And it's not just emotional. The nose also links to internal health. A well-shaped nose often correlates with steady circulation, strong lung capacity, and balanced hormonal flow. Meanwhile, a sharp, thin, or collapsing nose, especially if it seems to change over time, can reflect depletion, fragility, or long-term energy loss. It's not about panic, it's about paying attention. There's a saying, when the pillar is upright, the roof stays strong. In the body, that pillar is your nose. When it's grounded, your whole system feels more anchored. But when it shifts, even subtly, it's often a cue to slow down, to reassess the weight you've been carrying, both physically and emotionally. You may not have noticed it before, that your nose leans slightly when you're exhausted, that it feels more sensitive when you're anxious, that it looks different in photos now compared to a few years ago. These aren't coincidences, they're communications. And here's something deeper. The nose also reflects your relationship with control. People who constantly push, plan, organize, predict, often carry that drive in their nose. You'll see it in the tension around the nostrils, the sharpness at the tip, the slight flaring that never fully relaxes. It's the body saying, I'm holding on too tightly. But balance doesn't mean giving up. It means loosening the grip just enough to breathe. And that's where the nose comes back into focus, not just as a shape, but as the gateway of breath. Every inhale you take passes through this pillar. Every exhale, Every sigh, every moment of pause, your nose is not just architecture, it's the beginning of presence. When your breath is shallow and rushed, the nose tightens. When your breath is deep and soft, the nose relaxes. When you begin to breathe like someone who trusts life again, the nose responds, not just in function, but in form. So how do we restore the strength of this pillar? We don't do it with force. We do it with rhythm. Sit quietly for 5 minutes a day and just notice your breathing. Not to control it, but to witness it. Allow the inhale to soften your chest. Let the exhale release tension from your shoulders. Over time, this quiet presence begins to realign the energy that supports your physical posture, including your face. You might even start to see changes, subtle, slow, but real. The nose begins to relax. The tip lifts slightly. The bridge feels smoother. These are not cosmetic miracles. They're signs that your inner pillar is holding strong again. And remember, a strong nose doesn't mean a perfect one. It means a nose that reflects who you are without strain, that stays rooted through life's winds, that breathes even when you don't know what comes next. So today, take one gentle breath through your nose, just one. Feel what it's holding, feel what it's ready to release. And ask yourself, is your pillar still standing? If not, what would it take to rebuild it from the inside out? Sign 4. Your face shape might be quietly telling your future. We've all heard the phrase, it's written all over your face. Usually it's about mood, tired eyes, a forced smile, the look of someone holding back tears. But what if it's not just emotion? What if your face shape, its structure, its proportions, its quiet symmetry or lack of it, has been hinting at your future all along? Not in a mystical, palm reader way. In a physical, biological, and energetic way. Because the human face isn't just skin and features, it's a map. One that reflects how well your systems are working together, how well you've recovered from the past, and how stable your body might remain in the years ahead. You don't need a chart or a degree to see it. Just a mirror and a moment of honesty. Start at the top. Look at your forehead down to your eyebrows. That's your upper zone. It's often connected to mental clarity, memory, focus. Then from eyebrows to the bottom of your nose. The middle zone. The heart of your emotional expression, social energy, and day-to-day functioning. Finally, the area from the base of the nose down to your chin, your lower zone, connected to grounding, digestion, immunity, and how well your body holds up physically. Now ask yourself, are these 3 sections in harmony? Do they flow naturally like balanced thirds of a painting? Or is one area too long, too short, too dominant? Do certain lines break that natural rhythm? Sharp folds, sagging tension, sudden deep wrinkles. These imbalances aren't just about aging. They often reflect what the body has endured and how well it's recovered. A shortened lower face may indicate weak digestion or adrenal burnout. A heavy, congested middle face could signal years of emotional buildup, grief, or relationship stress. An overly wide or tense upper zone might reflect overstimulation, constant mental chatter, or long-term worry. And it's not just visual, it's energetic. People with balanced face proportions often have smoother energy flow, blood circulates better, organs cooperate more naturally, and the nervous system stays regulated. That doesn't mean they're perfect or stress-free. It means their internal systems know how to return to balance even after difficulty. That ability to return to balance is what keeps us healthy. And yes, it's visible in the face. You've probably seen it without realizing. A woman in her 70s who's lived through hard things, but her face remains soft, even. Not because of Botox, but because she's not carrying hidden war zones in her body anymore. Her energy flows, she forgives, she moves forward. Her face remembers balance. On the other hand, you may have seen a young person with a face that already looks uneven, tight in one area, collapsed in another. Sometimes it's genetics, but often it's stress that's been internalized too soon with no outlet. It shows up early and it stays unless it's gently released. Now, this isn't about judgment or vanity. It's not about trying to fix your face. It's about listening to what it might be trying to say. Because changes in facial symmetry often show up before deeper health issues are diagnosed. They whisper before they shout. That's why in some healing traditions, practitioners read the face not to predict, but to understand. to get a glimpse into how a person's energy is distributed. Whether they're running too hot, too cold, too fast. Whether they're depleted in areas they haven't even noticed yet. And what's powerful is this: balance can return. Not overnight, not through creams or surgery, but through lifestyle, through consistent, gentle shifts in how you treat your body. Your face follows your energy. Want to soften the lower face? Ground yourself. Eat warm, nourishing foods. Stop skipping meals. Give your digestive system regular rhythm. Want to open the middle zone? Practice heart-based breathing. Release tension in your jaw. Stop speaking through clenched teeth. Let your emotions move instead of hardening around them. Want to calm the upper face? Cut your screen time in half. Sleep before midnight. Journal the thoughts that circle endlessly so your mind doesn't have to hold them all night. These things sound simple, but their effect is profound. Because when your face begins to feel more even, when you notice a new softness, a clearer flow, it's not just aesthetics. It's health. And more than that, it's alignment. It means the systems inside you are no longer fighting each other. They're working as a team again. You deserve that kind of harmony, not just to look better, but to feel held by your own body. So the next time you catch your reflection, don't just see aging. See balance, see shape, see flow. Ask yourself, is my face telling me I'm still moving forward, or that something inside has stalled? And if it has, what would it take today to let that energy move again? Because the future doesn't appear all at once. It begins in moments like this, in the quiet shape of your face, gently asking you to listen. Sign 5. What your hands say when they are resting. Your hands don't need to move to say something, even when they are still folded on your lap, resting on the table, gently wrapped around a cup of tea. They are speaking, softly but clearly, because hands aren't just tools, they are messengers. They carry memory, energy, and in many ways your inner story. The way your palms feel, the tone of your skin, the color under your nails. These aren't just cosmetic details. They are reflections of what's moving or not moving within you. Have you ever held someone's hand and felt instantly grounded? Or touched a cold, damp palm and felt a quiet concern rise up even if you didn't know why? That's because hands hold more than flesh. They hold signals. Start with the basics. Rest your hands in your lap right now. Don't move them. Just notice. Are they warm or cool, soft or tense? Is the skin dry, moist, or sweaty? When you gently press into the pad of your palm, does it spring back? Or does it take a moment like it's tired? Warm, rosy, responsive hands often reflect healthy blood flow, good oxygen levels, and balanced nervous system function. These are signs that your internal systems, circulatory, respiratory, even hormonal, are working in quiet cooperation, that your energy is flowing, not stuck. On the other hand, if your hands are often cold, pale, sweaty without reason, or slow to bounce back when pressed, it might mean your circulation is weak or your energy is pooling in certain places. It might mean your body is working harder than it should to do something simple, like keep your core warm or your fingers steady. And that's not all. Your fingernails tell a story too. Smooth, lightly pink nails with no streaks, ridges, or crumbling edges usually point to strong vitality. But brittle nails, discoloration, or pale beds often suggest stress, mineral deficiency, or underlying organ fatigue, especially in the liver or kidneys. Now here's the deeper part. Your hands also reflect how you live, not just how you function. People who live with a sense of purpose, who do work that uplifts, or who express love through action, those people often have hands that feel alive. Even in stillness, there's a quiet charge to them. You feel it when they touch your shoulder or hand you a plate. Their hands give without draining. But the opposite is also true. When we live in resentment or stay in environments that constantly deplete us, our hands start to reflect that. They may still work, still clean, cook, carry, but something in them feels tired. Not muscle tired, soul tired. They lose that gentle warmth that comes from giving freely without bitterness. And yes, age plays a role. Skin thins, joints ache, veins rise, but don't mistake those signs of time for signs of depletion. There's a difference between aging hands that still radiate presence and hands that feel hollow, like they've stopped reaching toward life. You can feel the difference. Some older adults shake your hand and you feel like you've just touched a branch rooted in deep earth, firm, kind, unwavering. Others, no matter their age, feel like they're fading even as they smile. That's why how you use your hands matters, not just what they do, but the energy behind it. Are you using your hands to care, to create, to connect? Or are they always busy with tasks that bring no joy, giving more than they receive? Because your hands remember. Every act of love, of service, of quiet creation, it stays with them. They hold that energy and it shows. So what can you do? First, notice how your hands feel when you're not doing anything. That's the baseline. That's what your body is trying to tell you. If they feel cold or drained, ask what part of you needs warmth. If they are tense, ask what you're still trying to hold on to. If they are empty, ask what you haven't let yourself reach for in a while. Then, bring your hands into small rituals. Rub them with warm oil before bed. Rest them on your chest when you breathe. Soak them in warm water with a little salt, not to pamper, but to return, to give them back some of what they've given you. And lastly, use your hands in ways that nourish your spirit, not just check things off. Cook something slowly. Write a letter. Plant something. Hug someone a little longer. These are not small things. They are what make energy flow again, gently, deeply, because when your hands are alive, your heart is not far behind. So next time your hands are still, listen. What are they saying about how you've been living? And more importantly, what would they ask for if they could? Sign 6. Eyebrows, your emotional armor. Some parts of the body whisper. Eyebrows. They do something different. They hold the line, quietly, day after day. Even when the rest of your face softens, shifts, or sags, your eyebrows are still standing guard. They're not just hair, they're your emotional armor, your silent shield. Think about it. When you're surprised, your brows lift. When you're focused, they draw in. When you're trying to hold back tears, they tighten and shake. Before you even speak, your eyebrows speak for you. And when you've spent years in silent endurance, in quiet frustration, in the kind of stress that builds without ever exploding, that story gets etched right into the space above your eyes. But here's what most people don't realize. Your eyebrows aren't just showing emotion, they are storing it. Take a moment and touch your own. Are they full, sparse, smooth and even, or broken, patchy, and thin toward the ends? These are more than grooming details. They're clues, not of beauty but of balance. Full, softly arched brows with even growth tend to appear on people who regulate emotion well, not because they don't feel, but because they process. They've learned how to pause before reacting, how to breathe through discomfort, how to speak gently even when they could raise their voice. That emotional moderation leaves a trace, not just in their heart, but on their face. On the other hand, when the eyebrows begin to thin, especially from the outer edge inward, it can signal prolonged stress, adrenal fatigue, or emotional depletion. These people often carry the weight of holding everything together. They don't explode, they absorb, and over time the body responds by withdrawing from its edges. Energy pulls inward, and the brows begin to fade. It's not vanity, it's physiology. Eyebrows are closely linked to the liver and nervous system. In traditional wellness, the liver governs emotional flow, anger, frustration, forgiveness. When those emotions are stuck or constantly suppressed, liver energy suffers. And when liver energy suffers, it shows in your patience, your posture, and yes, your brows. You can see it in someone who's been through a long season of difficulty without rest. They may look calm, but their brows are thinner. The hairs are finer. The space between the eyes and forehead has a quiet tension that never quite relaxes. You can also feel it. A person with thick, healthy brows often gives off emotional warmth, even when they are not smiling. There's a fullness, a presence, a sense that you're being held, not just seen. Their face doesn't flinch, it receives. They're not armored in aggression, but in groundedness. That's the kind of emotional armor we all need more of. Now, this doesn't mean you should panic if your eyebrows are changing. Hormones shift, age thins everything, but sudden changes, rapid thinning, or visible gaps after intense stress, those are signs your emotional reserves might be drying up and your body is conserving energy by pulling it from the surface. So what can you do? Start by treating your brows like the messengers they are, not just with grooming, but with kindness. Massage them gently at night with warm oil, not for beauty, but for circulation. Breathe deeply while doing it. Let your face know you're not in a fight. Let your nervous system unwind. Then go deeper. Ask yourself, what am I not saying? What have I been holding in my chest, my jaw, my eyebrows for far too long? Because sometimes restoring your brows starts with restoring your boundaries. Saying no when you're used to saying it's fine. Resting before you're completely burned out. Letting yourself cry instead of staying strong. Giving yourself permission to stop carrying what was never yours. And over time, slowly, those signals shift. The tightness above your eyes softens. The hairs begin to return, not for show, but because your body finally has enough to give again. Eyebrows remind us presence is a practice, and emotional resilience isn't about being numb. It's about building a quiet shield that bends with the storm but never breaks. So the next time you look in the mirror, don't just see two arches. Ask yourself, what have they been protecting? And are you finally ready to let them rest? Sign 7. Your ears hold your core energy. They sit quietly on the sides of your head. They don't blink or move. They don't gesture or reach. But your ears may be the most quietly telling part of your body and one of the least understood. Because they're not just for hearing the world around you. They are a mirror of the energy deep within you. A mirror of what you were born with and how much you've spent. In many wellness traditions, East and West, the ears are seen as connected to the kidneys. Not the kidneys as organs, but as the source of your original energy, the reserves you come into life with. You can't increase that original energy, but you can waste it or you can protect it. And your ears reveal which one you've been doing. Take a moment. Don't just look at your ears. Feel them. Are they warm or cool, thick or thin? Are the rims full and rounded or flat, sharp, even collapsed in places? These small details carry more truth than most people ever notice. Warm, full, well-shaped ears, especially with clear curves and solid rims, often point to strong core energy. People with ears like this tend to stay steady through stress, bounce back faster from illness, and age more slowly than others their age. Their bodies know how to protect what matters. They don't burn through their reserves. On the other hand, if your ears are consistently cold, thin, or losing structure, especially around the upper rim, it may be a quiet sign that your inner battery is running low. Not empty, but strained. Especially if you've been through long-term emotional weight, chronic stress, sleep deprivation, or just years of pushing yourself beyond your limits. And here's what's striking. This energy is hard to fake. You can apply creams to your skin, color your hair, adjust your posture. But your ears tell the truth, because they're not just about the outer you. They reflect the part of you that rarely gets replenished unless you're deeply intentional. In Buddhist and Eastern art, you'll often see figures with long, full ears, especially sages, healers, or those said to live long lives. That's not just stylistic. It symbolizes deep listening, not just with the ears, but with the whole self. A life lived with intention, compassion, and wise pacing leaves a physical mark. The ears grow fuller. The rims stay strong. The body holds on to its reserves. In everyday life, we see this too, though we don't always name it. Some older adults have ears that feel warm when you touch them. Not just physically, but energetically. Being around them feels calming. They're not in a rush. They don't raise their voice easily. Their presence feels grounded, and their body reflects that balance. In contrast, people who live in constant urgency, racing through tasks, always overstimulated, frequently overwhelmed, often show signs of depletion here first. Their ears are colder. The structure feels weak. The top rim thins out, sometimes before any other aging signs appear. The body is quietly pulling back to protect the core. But this isn't just about age. It's about how you've been using your life force. And that's why the ears matter, because they don't change quickly. They change with rhythm, with seasons, with years of how you live, speak, sleep, and recover. They are among the last things to fully form and the last things to fade when health is truly strong. So if you're noticing signs of fatigue here, what can you do? Start by listening, not just to others, but to yourself. Deep listening restores energy. It quiets the nervous system. It lets the kidneys rest. When you stop needing to react to everything, when you stop jumping to solve, fix, explain, your body exhales. Your energy has space to return. Then build rituals that protect your reserves. Go to bed earlier. even by 30 minutes. Drink warm water in the morning instead of starting with caffeine. Give yourself silence even if just 10 minutes a day. Reduce stimulation, bright lights, noise, constant screens. These aren't small things. They're how you say to your body, you don't need to be on high alert anymore. And slowly the ears respond, maybe not in shape, but in sensation. Warmth returns, a feeling of groundedness. You'll know it because others will start to say you feel different, calmer, steadier. That's your core energy holding you, not the other way around. So next time you touch your ears, gently, without judgment, ask, what have I been listening to lately? And what have I stopped listening to within myself? Because your ears are not just sound receivers, they're guardians of your reserves, and they remember everything. Sign 8. A soft smile lasts longer than medicine. There's a kind of smile that makes people feel safe. It's not big, not forced, not performative. It doesn't stretch wide across the face or try to convince anyone of anything. It's quiet, present, soft, and it says more about your health and your future than most test results ever could. Because a soft smile is not about facial muscles. It's about the nervous system. It's about emotional stability. It's about the ability to let go even while life continues to be imperfect. Think about the people you've known with the most calming presence. They didn't smile constantly, but when they did, it came from a place of deep peace, and you felt it. It didn't just lift your mood, it changed the whole room. That kind of smile comes from someone who's done some inner work, someone who's made peace with themselves, not because everything went right, but because they stopped trying to control what never could be. And in that surrender, something softened, starting with the corners of their mouth. Now here's what's remarkable. Modern medicine is finally catching up to what our grandmothers always knew. A true smile, a genuine, relaxed smile, releases endorphins, reduces cortisol, and activates the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the system responsible for rest, digestion, healing, and cell repair. In other words, smiling helps you live longer, literally, not the fake kind, not the everything's fine mask we wear in public, but the kind that comes from being okay even when things aren't perfect. You can see this on people who have been through grief but somehow still radiate light, on caretakers who have given so much but haven't grown bitter, on grandparents who carry wrinkles like tree rings, each one earned, none regretted. They smile because they've chosen peace over resentment. They've chosen to release, not resist. And that energy, it shows up not just in their face, but in their longevity. On the flip side, people who carry long-term anger, tension, or emotional suppression often wear it in their mouth. Lips stay tight, smiles fade quickly, the face seems locked, and over time that tension doesn't just stay in the skin, it seeps deeper. Into the jaw, the digestion, the heart rate, the way they recover from illness or don't. When the smile is gone, it's usually not the face that needs help, it's the heart. That's why smiling again, softly, genuinely, isn't just emotional, it's physical. It's energetic. It's one of the few treatments that costs nothing, requires no prescription, and can be done anywhere. But here's the catch. A soft smile can't be forced. It has to come from somewhere real, and that place is usually forgiveness. Forgiveness not in the grand, dramatic sense, but in the quiet choice to stop replaying that memory, to stop holding your breath, to let go of needing to win, of needing to be right, of needing life to be fair. When those weights drop, even a little, the mouth remembers how to soften. So if your smile has been missing, don't chase it, trace it. What's been sitting on your chest? What's been pushing your lips into a straight line? Who or what have you not released yet? Because the moment you begin to release, the smile comes back, not all at once, but slowly, in moments, in the way your face feels less tight, in the way your eyes carry less urgency, in the way your laughter doesn't feel like an effort, but a return. And once it returns, it starts doing its quiet work, soothing the nervous system, regulating breath, improving sleep, enhancing digestion. You start to feel different, not because life is easier, but because your body finally feels safe again. And when the body feels safe, it begins to heal. That's the real power of a soft smile. It doesn't fix everything, but it tells your body, you're not in danger anymore. And that message, it's more powerful than medicine. So tonight, when no one is around, stand in front of the mirror, not to fix anything, just to see. Breathe deeply, let your face relax. Let your mouth remember how it feels when nothing needs to be explained, defended, or achieved. And ask yourself, not with judgment, but with love, when was the last time I truly smiled for me? Not for a photo, not for someone else, just for the quiet joy of being alive still. If it's been a while, that's okay. Because the smile was never gone. It was just waiting for a little more space and a little more kindness to return. Sign 9. The way you walk, your living signature. You may not think about it, most people don't. But the way you walk says more about your health, your energy, your emotions, your future than almost anything else. Because walking isn't just movement. It's rhythm, it's flow, it's alignment. And more than that, it's a quiet signature your body leaves behind every day. You can't fake it, you can't force it, and you can't hide from it. When your walk changes, your health is often already shifting. When your steps become heavy, when your balance feels off, when your pace starts to rush or drag without you meaning to, it's not just aging. It's your nervous system trying to tell you something. We've all seen it. The person who walks like they're still 40, even in their 70s, not fast, not stiff, but smooth, grounded. Their spine is upright without being rigid. Their arms swing naturally. Their steps land like water, firm but flowing. And we've seen the opposite too. Someone young whose walk has already turned into a shuffle, head forward, shoulders tense, legs moving before breath has caught up. That's not just posture, that's internal imbalance, because walking reflects what's happening inside. The body only moves well when the organs, breath, and energy systems are in quiet cooperation. When the spine holds, when the feet trust the ground, when the brain isn't in a loop of survival mode thinking. Your walk is the mirror of all that. People who walk with grace often have steadier heart rhythms. Their bodies recover faster. Their digestion works better, and their thoughts settle more easily, not because they're perfect, but because they are present. They walk from center, not from panic. But most of us don't notice when our walk starts to shift. We get used to rushing, to leaning forward, to tightening the shoulders, to holding the breath. We walk like we're late to a life we no longer enjoy. And over time, that becomes normal. But the body remembers, and eventually it reflects. So here's the question: how do you walk when no one's watching? Do your feet land with presence, or are they trying to catch up with your thoughts? Does your spine feel tall or tired? Are you rushing out of habit, or walking like someone who still enjoys the view? Because this matters more than we think. A calm, grounded gait signals balance. It tells your nervous system, we're not in danger. And that message flows into everything. Heart rate, digestion, sleep, even inflammation levels. It's not dramatic, it's daily, and it adds up. So what can you do? Start by observing. Set your phone down and record yourself walking just a few steps in your hallway. Don't correct anything. Just walk like you normally do. Then watch. What do you see? Are your steps smooth or choppy? Is your head tilted forward? Do your arms move naturally, or are they frozen at your sides? And more importantly, how does your walk feel? If you feel off balance, start small. Breathe as you walk, not deeply, just evenly. Match your step to your breath. Inhale 2 steps, exhale 2 steps. Let your body move as one, no part rushing ahead, no part left behind. Loosen your hands as you walk, unclench your jaw, soften your gaze. These are tiny things, but they begin to unwind patterns that have been living in your body for years. You don't have to walk faster. You have to walk truer. Because walking is not about speed, it's about presence, and presence is healing. The people who live the longest often walk slower than those around them, not because they are weak, but because they are in rhythm. They're not hurrying toward the future or running from the past. They are here, step by step, and their body responds with stability, softness, strength. Your walk is not just how you move through space, it's how you move through life, and that's why it matters. So the next time you're walking at the grocery store, around the block, or just across the living room, pay attention. Your body is telling a story, and you have the power to rewrite it step by step. Because how you walk is how you live. And the way you live becomes the legacy your body carries forward quietly with every footfall. Final, you've just walked through 9 signs, 9 small, often ignored details that quietly reflect how your body is doing, how your energy is holding up, and maybe how long you'll stay on this earth. They weren't dramatic, they weren't magic, but they were real. The light in your eyes, the shape of your nose, the rhythm of your steps, your hands, your brows, your breath, each one carrying a piece of a larger truth that your body has been whispering to you long before any diagnosis, long before you ever searched for answers. And if you slow down even a little, it starts to make sense. Because longevity isn't a number. It's not just living longer, it's staying present longer. Clearer, warmer, more alive in the skin you're already in. You don't need to remember all 9 signs. You don't need to change everything overnight. What matters is what you feel right now. What part of your body feels forgotten? What part of you is asking softly to be seen? That's where the shift begins. Not in effort, not in fear, but in noticing, in breathing, in coming home to yourself, one small signal at a time. And if you're still watching, I just want to say thank you, truly. Thank you for giving this time to your own awareness. Thank you for being willing to listen to your body, your breath, your rhythm. Whatever your path looks like from here, may it be grounded, may it be steady, and may it carry that quiet strength that doesn't fade even with the years. Take care of your body. It's been carrying you longer than you realize, and in return, may it carry you longer than you expect.